Okay, so Mr. Robinson, my husband, found me some clamps. Those are probably from his former stair building brief career in California when he took a break from electrical. So we've got those two clamps. Those aren't moving anywhere. Then, did you know that an old battery backup that no longer works is super heavy and nothing is going anywhere? And then my old 2-hole puncher from the office. Okay, so this is what we have. We have the heart. Now we need to fill it. Gorgeous, gorgeous. We're going to figure this out, and I kind of want to place the moss and then place the zip ties to secure it. If the zip ties don't work, well, they do go in. There's always like the needle and thread, like a more industrial grade thread, right? So I've got lovely, lovely moss, and in order for it to grow together and really, really connect, it needs to get started in that arena now, not the week of the wedding. So I placed it in these trays. It's damp. It's gonna need to dry out a little bit before I sew it in. But here's the thing. When you want it to meld together, the dampness, I believe, is a plus. You might argue that you're putting wet moss on top of aluminum, Kelly. You think that's not gonna get rusty? Well, fortunately, I have a ton of moss to utilize. I'm so grateful that my property seems to yield an awful lot, and my goal is to actually propagate some moss for any future endeavors, but I don't have time for that because the wedding's in March. Normally you close it up and you let it do its thing for a couple months. So if I wanted to propagate, the time to start that would have been, back when I first started bringing moss in. And I really want it to be dense. I don't want anything in the background to show through once it's mounted. Otherwise, I have to paint everything in case something, the wood shows through. Would I spray paint it green just in case there's a little gap? I don't know. So I'm pushing it right up against each other. We're pressing it in so that hopefully there are no gaps. I really don't want to tear the moss up in any way. This is actually a different moss here that I was experimenting with. That will go into one of the terrariums that I'm working on. So of course I'm gonna want to round it out and make it very beautifully heart-shaped. But for now, I'm just placing. See how there's some like grass in there? I really don't think we need that in the heart centerpiece of the moss wall. Not for this project. There are some, whoa, this is a big piece. Okay, So it has been coming together on its own, actually. Because I don't remember putting a piece that big in here. Can always pick some of the little grasses out later. The cedar trees dropping their little needles. The problem with those needles is they turn brown when they die. So they may be green on there for now, but they are not alive anymore. And once they fell down, they started the process of turning brown, and they will make my moss look brown. I prefer a real healthy green. We want the greenery. If some of the marsh moss ends up, you know, a little brownish yellow, that's okay. Some of the rectangles of it are more, look at that little piece. It's perfect to put out on the trail because it'll just explode into a beautiful bit of moss. So I kind of want it to go over the edge. That way I can push it in as I'm making, molding the heart shape, right, into perfection. And then if it grows over the edges, that's okay. That's some moss growing on a piece of, piece of a tree. Those are great for terrariums, but this is a special project and it requires special moss, okay? Because my friend is special and so is her fiance. All right. Pushing it down, shaping it. Not gonna sew it in yet. I'm gonna let it kind of settle and dry and get stuck to each other before I secure it to the screening. I like that little, what do you call that stuff? I'm drawing a blank. It's in the moss family. Okay, so 2 containers down. I have this giant container. I have another one over here. Let's see how this is looking color-wise. We kind of want it to blend. Oh yeah, that's a gorgeous green. Absolutely gorgeous. The question is, has it come together yet? And how can I move it really carefully? See, there is some dirt under it. It's not really necessary, but I wanted to move it all together. Just kind of see how it wants to move. I think I want that big piece up at the top. It's okay if it's multi-level. Like, look at how thick this one is. It's just so cushy and velvety. And once it settles in on the screening, it's gonna get taller and more gorge. So, press it in, press it in. Okay, yes, queen. You too can be queen of your moss. So I've realized that the moss that's growing under my back deck on the pebbles, the gravel that was left over when they were building the house and putting in whatever landscaping they put in. I've realized, oh, this piece is drier. That when I take that moss from under my deck and move it and put it along the trail in a spot and it settles in and spreads out and multiplies, I kind of have like a moss factory down there. I'm basically a moss farmer. So I'm gonna keep utilizing that moss for my projects. And just continuing to cultivate it down there, because the gopher and or Puxatawny Phil, who keep living down there, they don't need a whole underdeck of moss to survive. They like vegetables. They really like to eat in my garden. They really like the grass over the septic tank for some reason. Because you know the grass is always greener over the septic tank. So they're not gonna starve if I'm removing some moss, replacing it. Don't wanna leave it barren. Look at that, that is so pretty. You guys, I'm getting so excited. Another empty moss cultivating bin. I'll be filling those back up with more velvet moss that will go in the centerpieces on the tables. Inside, a little accessory, so people can actually pet the moss during the wedding. Super exciting. I wonder if I can upload this video in like faster speed, because this has got to be tedious. Okay, it has literally changed its shape since I put it in there. So that tells me everything I need to know about how this project is going to come together. But this moss is a little drier. We've been running the heat with the, you know, the cold temps. But look at that. It's exactly the shape of the container now. So yeah, this is going to be a no-brainer, no problemo. It will come together. Ah! I can't wait to show it to my friend. Look at the heart. What do you think? And I don't have to lay in bed at night wondering if the moss is going to be falling down on the wedding day. I'm starting to feel much more confident about how this is going to turn out. This is my little, like, when you're touching moss, it makes you relax. Ooh, this is so much wetter over here. I need my spray bottle. It's earthing, it's grounding, it's healthy. I can literally feel my blood pressure go down. I have a high stress job, and we work with resorts all around the world, and sometimes English is not an option, so it gets really challenging with things getting lost in translation or communication problems, and it can be stressful. So walking in the moss on the trails, but having your hands in the moss in the wintertime is like second best, right? This is, that looks a little brown, and I don't want to take any chances at the top of the heart. So I'll just kind of scrunch it in, and once it's more damp, we'll be able to manipulate it a little better. And here's a nice chunk because I had left a little space there. So what do you guys think? Can you see it okay? I don't know how good the lighting is. I feel like it's looking really good, and I'm getting really excited about it. So this is literally the first moss wall item I've ever made. And yeah, I'm gonna need more screening before I do the other pieces. So Wow. The marsh moss will fill in around that. I will take the pieces and slice them or rip them with my hands and fill it in. There'll be a lighter brown, brownish yellow. So this gorgeous velvety moss is gonna really stand out. This will be top center of the moss wall. And if I was really to get creative, I could do their initials. Oh my gosh! Her initial, his initial, heart in the middle, thread moss all around. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Best laid plans of mice and men and women. All right, so this is where I'm leaving it for today. It's not perfect. It's seriously my first attempt at really doing something of this scale. And wow. So I'm gonna get up if I can still stand and say goodbye, because now, oh, my hips don't lie. Now I have a mess to clean up. Bye-bye.